is going on, everybody? Welcome in to the North End Podcast, episode 311. My name is Zach Graham, your host here in the North End, joined as always by my good buddy. He's on record as my best friend. His name is Ian Michaud, and we call him E. He's sitting here on a Sunday, beautiful Austin, Texas, a week into our World Cup break. How you feeling, my friend?
I'm doing great, man. Didn't have to watch Austin FC play. That's a win. Got to bathe myself in the Rickshaw Billy's Burger Patrol rock last night. So I'm basking in that. Got to see you, a bunch of other friends, ton of homies over playing some darts, watching that Game 7 there. What a game that was. Your Spurs, they advance, and now I must turn on you. All hail the king.
Yeah, you talk about basking.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Can I Spurclejerk for a second?
I knew you're going to anyway, so go ahead.
Can we get out of the way?
I'll just mute myself. There you go.
Never expected this team to be in the NBA Finals this early. I told you the first time I saw Victor Wembanyama play in person, that's the best basketball player I've ever seen. Did not think I'd be proven. I'm not saying I'm proven right yet, but on the precipice of just some historic basketball accomplishments there. So I've said many times on this program, my favorite team resides in San Antonio, and it is the Spurs. So congrats to all of our Spurs fan listeners out there. I know there is a handful of them. I got Spurs in 5, so hopefully that does not come back to bite me. I know that the Knicks have been playing quite well. Dominant 10-game stretch for them. Now you're out of the JV conference. So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, and like we were talking about, we're going to talk way too much about hoops if we get going with this. I was going to bring up Mitchell Robinson's injury and shit. We're going to go.
That's huge.
Yeah,
it's huge.
No, I know. Yeah, man, there's just so many dudes in that Spurs team just that I'd find it hard to not like them. Like, I love Steph Castle. If I could be one player, I would be Steph Castle. That's just how I'd want to play. Yeah,
you have similar traits when you're on the court. That's for sure.
Same verts, things like that.
I think the dog level is maybe the closest comp there. But
Vassell, some real dog.
I know.
Champagne
if you get 2 Danny Green games out of Julian Champagne, it's hard to lose a series.
Yep, and like I said before, that Thunder team is just so unbelievably unlikable. I don't know if you have any Thunder fans in the Discord or whatever listening, but good God.
Yeah. And it's unfortunate. The last thing I would say is it's unfortunate that that's the story around that team, because my fandom bias aside, they're so fucking good, especially but they were not healthy, and that was a huge part of that series. So let's leave that in the past. We will have some Austin FC content here, or at least we're going to try to cook some up for you. We do, of course, have international call-up news, or lack thereof in certain cases. We're going to take a look back on the tenure of Rodolfo Borrell here, E. So I think we may uncover some Austin FC memories that were lost to the past as we go through this. So I'm interested to see how we react to this list that we have concocted. Last business day, second team back in action next Sunday. We're going to go ahead and preview that match against LAFC 2 as well. Boy Factory, it is playoff time for the Academy, and then we'll clean up the last week of the first half of the season's nonsense. Before we get into the rest of episode 311 here in the North End, just want to remind you all, as we always do, that you can support the show financially for free just by downloading the audio versions of our show wherever you get your podcasts. So toggle on auto downloads, Apple, Spotify, wherever you get those pods. That'll support us in that fashion going forward, and you won't have to think about it again. If you want to go the extra mile over there, you can leave a rating and a review for the show. And if you're watching us on our YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button, because it does help us grow the show. You can also hit the notification bell to know when a live stream pops up, and it is live stream season, or a new episode goes live. And of course, here on episode 311, hit the thumbs up, like the video, help us battle the YouTube algorithm overlords, atone for your sins, wash yourselves clean in the waters of the North End. So let's actually start with a bit of season ticket holder news. This email went out to all season ticket members earlier this week, and it was announcing our second open training at Q2, second season ticket holder event. The first one was the preseason friendly, right? So we actually got to see a game. Now on Saturday, July 18th, the weekend before the team starts league play up again, we will see an open training, or season ticket holders rather will be invited there to, as the club says, celebrate the return of MLS play with Austin FC. I see your face there. I hear the little noise you made. I know, jokes. Honestly, this is a bummer for me because I think it's pretty clear that this is in lieu of a meet the team event. And I know that is not exciting for everybody. But we enjoy it a lot. And I know especially too, like I'm also a child at heart here, but like the actual kids who are fans of this team, that's like a day for them as well.
For sure.
So I hope that at least returns, if not later in the second half of the season, that it comes back in some form or fashion next year. And also at this open training, which of course we will go to, even if we're going to grumble through it. It'll be our first chance to see potentially new players, new coach who you would think would be installed there. And I would hope that the club would also include some free food and or drinks for the season ticket members to this, because I think that would up your attendance. Like it's a little different from an open training when everybody is 0-0-0 with all the hope in the world. When you are dog shit, less excitement.
Yeah, I will. I'll be there. I don't know if I'm excited about it right now.
Yeah.
Maybe as we get a little farther along.
Right?
Give it a little time here. But yeah, dude, I forgot who brought it up in the Discord. It was like Scott, one of the Scots we have in there, I think, was talking about, how they weren't doing the meet the team thing. And that sucks, particularly because like that's where we get a ton of autographs and everything. That's like where we're getting shit like to give away and stuff for people. And like just a bummer that's
we're memorabilia guys ourselves.
That
jersey on the wall behind me has a ton of signatures on it, and the majority of them are from multiple years of that event.
Yeah, so we'll see how it goes, man. I'm not excited about it right now. I'll get there eventually.
Well, definitely not excited about the news in the international game that came our way this week, because I think it was Facundo Torres himself that broke the news to reporters. I think he was back in South America, if I'm not mistaken, and talked to reporters and said, Coach Bielsa, right, the coach of the Uruguayan national team, said he did not make the squad, and Facu said it was for footballing reasons. And I understand. I did see some speculation from those who know more about the international game than you and I, saying that Luis Suarez decided, I believe, that he was not going to skip the tournament, whereas I think that was a decision he announced maybe prior to the last 2 weeks, which could have squeezed Facu out. But also, like, it's really hard to look at what Facu has done out there on the pitch, especially from a counting stats perspective. Certainly not all his fault, right? But it wasn't a flashy first half of the league season for anybody on our team, maybe outside of some really big highs for Brad Stuver.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good club too. He's really trying to crack into a really good rotation there. So, like, that's a bummer. I know he would have liked to have represented his country and everything like that. But, I don't know how much your play at Austin FC is like impacting that decision. I know it takes into account, how your form is and how you're looking and everything.
Yeah.
But like, there's a ton of factors at play with that. Like, we were beat up. He was one of the only DPs that was, consistently available playing. So that sucks for him. I'm bummed for him. I would like some good news for Facu. I would like some positivity moving forward with him.
Absolutely. We did also get Jaden. You got the stamps out there from the team for a call up. So this was like the pre-World Cup, the final kind of training window for Canada before they had to finalize their World Cup roster, right? 26-man roster, I believe it is, for all of the nations participating in the tournament this summer. Jaden did not make the cut, but then there was an injury, I believe, in a friendly for the Canadian national team either Friday or Saturday, which led to this tweet from a journalist named Ben Steiner, who is clearly looking at his timeline, plugged in with the Canadian national team, at least at the moment. And he tweeted this yesterday saying, should Flores be unavailable, the player who tore his ACL, should he be unavailable? And obviously he is. That ACL tear has been confirmed on Sunday. Steiner tweeted that Jaden Nelson is likely the easiest next call, and he's still with the Canadian national team as they train, even though he is not on the official roster for the competition. And then we get a tweet about a half hour, before we recorded today here on Sunday, where Steiner follows up. He's now heard from head coach Jesse Marsh, and Marsh said that he's been in communication with Daniel Jebison and Junior Hoylett and others about the World Cup to replace Flores. And Jesse Marsh was quoted as saying, we're going to take a little to evaluate. So like putting those two together, and also just reading into the text of the first post from Ben Steiner, that felt like gut feel, where he was like, Jaden Nelson makes the most sense. Like, he didn't say to me, but that's how it read. And then Coach Marsh not naming Jaden here specifically in today's press conference, it doesn't feel like we're going to get the break for our guy here to get into the roster, but nothing final yet.
Yeah, nothing final yet. Obviously, I would take I'd feel much better about Marsh being like Jaden Nelson was the one that would be the easiest call for sure. And this situation has really stunk, man, because I supported what he was doing with his body and everything. And was it detrimental to Austin FC? I think so. You know what I mean? But like, I got where he was coming from. And for this not to happen now, because I was genuinely excited for him to potentially be, on the Canadian team and participating. And like, I would have been super happy for him about that. But to see this now, even if you're 2+ guys away, and with what they said there, like, he doesn't necessarily have to be a winger. So this doesn't look like it's going to come to pass for Jaden, which is definitely a bummer. And hopefully that can clear up some of this lingering back, hamstring tightness, what have you, issues that have been going on with him, and we can get some clear-cut answers on what he's going to look like in a full-time role here with Austin FC.
Almost blasted the lingerer drop on you there as you said that. Had a couple, or I should say a trio of other call-ups here this week, and these are not as pointless as like the third place UEFA playoff qualification games that we saw last month. But Mirtu Izuni was called up to the Albanian national team. They've got friendlies against Israel at 1 p.m. on June 3rd and Luxembourg on June 6th, also at 1 p.m. Central there. So certainly wishing Mirtu good luck in those games. And of course, more importantly for us, no injuries. Joseph Rosales also got called up. I believe the only friendly that Honduras has on the schedule at the moment is Argentina, June 6th. So I think that's this coming Saturday. That is a 7 p.m. Central kickoff. So taking on the Argentinian national team there. Certainly good luck to Joseph. And again, same as we said with Mirtu, no injuries.
Yeah, absolutely no injuries. Congrats to both those dudes. Sanabria made the Uruguay team
from the Galaxy
Salt Lake.
Salt Lake. Okay, gotcha. Yeah. Well, wing back, different positions.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not familiar with the Uruguayan depth chart. I would love Facu to be a part of it. That's for sure.
Absolutely.
The last call up here, and this is really cool. It is Nico Aristizábal getting what I believe is now his third call up to the Puerto Rican senior men's national team. And the really cool thing about this is, man, the Puerto Ricans are taking on the Saudi Arabian national team at Q2 on Friday. So this means that Nico is going to be, for the first time, suiting up at Q2 Stadium for his national team here, which, like, you certainly don't think he's going to see any time here. Would be super sick if he did. But I think an honor nonetheless, and a big congrats from us to Nico.
Massive congrats. This has been an awesome year for him, man. So many cool moments and opportunities that he's gotten to be a part of, and obviously continuing to progress up that ladder, having that belief from the coaching staffs and everything that, who's managing the Puerto Rican team, man. Like, that's awesome, man. I'm super excited for this kid. That's great.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. I think you said it perfectly. It's been a big year. It's been what I think you would think folks consider a successful year for him. So onward and upward for Nico, and we will push forward. And let's just talk for who knows how long this will go, but let's go through our list. And it's not 100% chronological here, but we've tried to break up as many Rodolfo Borrell transactions that we could find, kind of break them up by window here. So, of course, Rodo was hired in the summer of 2023, right? And we had just come off about 6 months of the Josh Wolf, Sean Rubio combo front office there, which gave you hits such as Julio Cascante on a TAM deal, Diego Fagundes on 1.2 million and rising, Amro Tarek, like these.
This is going to be a fun little thing, huh? This is going to be a fun exercise.
I think they made enough moves in that 6 month time frame where I feel like we need to have the Josh Sean Rubio pairing as like a third sporting director, and they might be the worst.
Just some abomination, just like outside the door, like half wolf.
on like a points per game basis here, I think you guys were the worst of the three.
Yeah, and also, I mean, like, it's just weird that some of these things got signed off on, in my opinion. Because, like, what? These dudes are making long-term decisions fucking, like, we were fucking
rolling come off that conference finals, though, bro.
Yeah,
everybody top to bottom, I think, was feeling way too good.
Yeah.
So Rodo comes in the summer of 2023, and the first thing that happens is that Matt Hedges trade, right? Which sent out way too much GAM back to Toronto, where he came from, right? Like, I want to say Hedges was there for half a season, right? Had just left FC Dallas, which was his, I think, career-long club at the first team level. And, got offered the bag by Toronto there. And so rightfully went up there and then came right back home in the summer. But that trade, man, was Toronto getting $475K in GAM, and 375K of it was 2024 GAM, and an additional 100K was 2025 GAM. I don't think we ever gave them that 100K conditional because it was conditioned on the player's roster status. Either way, it was not a great way, and like I don't know if this trade was in the works before Rodolfo Borrell got here. Given the next move that he made, I think it probably was, because I don't think you trade for Matt Hedges, given what the cap sheet looked like at the time, just to turn around and send Diego Fagundes out for salary cap reasons. So I think it's fair to question whether or not that move was in the works before Rodo was officially hired. And like, not for nothing, I'm not saying it, any sort of impropriety here, but Sean Rubio did go back to Toronto after Rodo was hired. So maybe he was just trying to set himself up with some extra GAM there.
I mean, I pulled up the spreadsheets right on the northendpodcast.com. I'm looking at the roster right now. It only goes back to 2024, I believe. So
on our sheets, yeah.
We were a little bit different. But like, if you looked at that 2024 season going in with the center backs and how much money we were spending on that unit alone, holy smokes. I also agree. I think this was done before Rodo got in here, because it just, and I think what will be mostly encapsulated here when we go through all of this is that he did find a way to work the numbers, the figures, the cap stuff into the parameters of MLS, and he made that translation after self-admitting or, you know, not at the beginning, but he did admit that like it was more challenging and difficult. He didn't understand all of the stuff going on here. And with that being said, I just don't think you're paying that much. How old was Hedges at that time? He was like 35, right? Like,
I mean, I think he signed a 1 day after he left us with Dallas just to retire with them. I think.
Yes. So like, it just doesn't make a whole lot of sense that you're moving that much GAM and then paying this dude. I think he was like $570,000, $560,000.
He's 5 months older than me.
Yeah, he's old.
This man was cooked.
Yeah, I know. And I'm trying to remember if like were we injured at the center back position at that time? Was like Leo?
Yeah, dude, because
like,
we
banged
fucking
up, right? Because Raymond,
Rubio and Wolf had brought in fucking Brandon Craig on loan.
That's right. And we couldn't play him
because we were going to give up Gam. Yeah.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
Then Roto came in and was like, this kid's not playing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, of course not.
Oh, boy.
Well, so the Diego trade, right? Traded to the Galaxy for Memo Rodriguez and $300K guaranteed GAM. It was up to $900K GAM in performance incentives, not on top of the 300, but 900 total.
Yeah.
And we don't know how much of that, if any, we ever got. I think it's probably a good bet that we got some of it.
Yeah.
Because Diego went there and they won the title. So like, and he wasn't like game in, game out starter really at almost any point, at least absent like filling in as an, when they started to get super injured in their midfield. But it wasn't just the return, man. The biggest thing, as we said on that day, the biggest gain for Austin in that move was the cap space that was freed up by getting rid of Diego's 1 million plus. I think it was 1.2 when they traded him. Maybe not quite that much, but I know it was up to that level when he was with the Galaxy. So again, it was a shocking trade to the majority of the fan base. It hurt to lose Diego from the sentimental standpoint for sure. And like, he was still close enough at that point to his peak form in 2022. Like, that was a career year that year under Josh Wolf, and playing next to prime Seba. But like, I don't know, man. I think you can look at his stats since then and also see that it was the right move just from a career perspective, right? Like, I don't think he had 21 goal contributions for us in 2022. And I think it's about that number in the 3.5 seasons since then, 3 seasons since then. He's got about 21 goal contributions between his time with the Galaxy and New England. So he definitely slowed down, which is not surprising because the guy was a, phenom coming in. He started his professional career in 2011, dude.
Yeah.
Like, he's been in the league forever.
Yeah. And like with that deal and where we were sitting at in regard to the cap space and the roster and what it looked like, the talent or lack thereof, we did say it was the right move, a painful, challenging one, and one that if you're Rodolfo Borrell, that there's a whole portion of the fan base who, unless you won a title in your tenure here, that was it. You weren't going to, you were done. You traded away a cult icon here in Austin. And, a staple of this team, or a guy that, has we have tons of memories with. Obviously, like you said, seeing his incredible season up close, he was fun. He was incredible that year. He was stunning that year. Like, it gets overshadowed a little bit because Seba was the best player in the league.
Right, MVP, yeah.
Yes, but like Diego was the second instrument in that entire ensemble there, and he was fantastic. So and then when you have to make that move, it's just there's always going to be a portion of the fan base who just aren't going to like you.
For sure.
You know what I mean? And that's a tough decision to have to make right away when you come in. But again, I do think it was the right decision. And look, man, it worked out for Diego. You got fucking paid millions of dollars, and then you won a championship. So it worked out for you, man. So it's just tough, and it's it's so funny going back and thinking of these numbers and where the team was at. I haven't thought of Amro Tarek in years, and that's been so good for my mental health.
Well, that's our last note for the summer 2023 window is Roto completely saged the roster of Amro Tarek, buying him out. And that was where we still had just one buyout. And again, to have to use your one buyout on somebody like that is fucking nuts. It doesn't even free up any kind of, I'm pretty sure he was on supplemental. Like, I don't know, man. But that was the immediate window. Not a ton of activity there, but some impactful moves that were made. So you go into the first full off season, right? Which we can just call preseason 2024. Contracts declined or options declined here headed into 2024. Tell me if you think any of these guys we missed dearly. Charlie Asensio, Will Bruin.
Who?
Charlie Asensio, Clemson. One of our draft picks. I don't remember. Maybe the first year, maybe the second, was I want to say right back. He was a fullback for sure. We loaned him out. Yes, and then we also loaned him out to USL, I want to say, in 22. Mm-hmm. But I think then played a couple USL seasons and I believe has retired since then. Will Bruin, of course, also retired. Far from the worst signing we've ever made.
For sure.
Sofian Jafal, which, like, God. Remember how excited we were for him at times? And just, like, did not have it. They did not have it.
No.
At least at the MLS level.
No.
Kip Keller, we said goodbye to him headed into 2024. Didn't we trade him to Cincy? Something like that for like $50K game or something. I want to say we did. I'll let you look that up over there. We also said goodbye to Adam Lundqvist, which was another. I want to say that was a Reina trade. That could have been one of the Rubio Wolf ones, though. Either way, not a good use of GAM in trade, especially to our biggest geographical rivals. Alfonso Ocampo Chavez, who we picked up never played for the first team, rarely played for the second team, was a part of that 2023 Next Pro Championship squad. But picked him up, I want to say, in the waiver process, waiver or re-entry, one of those two from Seattle. Good call, Claudio.
Jesus.
We said goodbye to Rodney Redis, club's first ever signing there. Memo Rodriguez, of course, who was just kind of salary filler coming back there, player filler, roster filler, and Maxi Arruti. What'd you dig up on Kip? Did we get something out of that?
I think I just got it here. FC Cincinnati acquire MLS rights to Kip Keller from Austin FC for a third-round Super Draft selection.
Hell yeah. And in that...
Girl, this is a list right here, boy.
Yeah. I mean, that's not even the full picture of how bad this roster was.
None of these guys are in MLS anymore, right? Other than Diego. I don't even think Armotari is a real person.
Armotari.
I don't think he's a real person.
We saw him from Verde Hill that one time. Clearly, Roto was not done, right? Because this was the beginning. He's like, 2024 is the rebuilding year. We don't have high expectations. We expect to make the playoffs, though. First trade, Nick Lima to New England for $300K GAM. Feels pretty good to me. Solid trade.
Good deal.
Sold Johan Romagna, who was on loan, I believe, with Olympia. Obviously, we know came into camp, whether that he was having stomach problems or whatever, was not in shape. Multiple seasons coming in here. Sold to San Lorenzo for $750K. And we were blown away by that at the time.
Robbery.
Yeah. And, like, good for Romagna. Dude, I don't know if you've kept up with him at all. He's been playing quite well down there in South America.
I don't give a shit.
Then we go to the draft. And this, was a masterstroke and taking advantage of the way that Colorado runs, or used to run at least, their club. You draft Nate Jones with the 5th overall pick in the Super Draft. Trade him to the Rapids along with the 34th pick for $250,000 in GAM and the 31st pick. So you get $250,000 in GAM for a kid who spent 2024, his rookie year, the entirety of it with Rapids 2, then was loaned to Las Vegas Lights in 2025, and then on a free this offseason signed with the Lights in USL. Nate Jones never made an MLS appearance, and Roto got $250,000 in GAM for him, moved up 3 spots in the second round, and took Jimmy Farcarlin. So that Nate Jones trade also gave us Jimmy time, and our natural third rounder went to Philadelphia in the Brandon Craig loan, which I did, I guess, commented in the notes. I went back and looked. That was orchestrated by the Rubio Wolf front office.
Okay.
The biggest part there is $250,000 in GAM for Nate fucking Jones.
That's incredible. I mean, all of those moves that you just outlined there are fantastic moves.
Yeah,
especially if the team was rebuilding.
It's a great start to a rebuild.
Yes, that is how you do it. Set yourself up so well.
Also signed Stephen Cleveland from free agency coming out of Seattle, right? And at the same time, extended Damian Loss and sent him on loan to Louisville. So you got to remember, we already had Matt Bersano on this team as a backup keeper the previous year. That gave us 3 keepers on the senior roster. And I actually think that when we got the roster profile released that season, if I'm not mistaken, Bersano, that was the first instance of us seeing Roto buy down a guy under that 50% number to get you to the supplemental roster. But that was not ideal to just have 4 keepers on the senior roster, no matter Bersano in the supplemental, Loss loaned out, what have you. Less than efficient.
Yeah, no, definitely. Cleveland obviously coming from a great organization. You see he's a starter now. So like I get what they saw in him, but that many keepers on the roster, like you said, just not great, not efficient.
Yes, absolutely. Also signed Micah Burton to his homegrown deal. He was about to turn 18. So like you do that almost out of necessity just to not lose the asset for free. And Micah is a whole nother story at this point.
And his story's not done.
Of course. I certainly hope to be getting more out of him at this point.
For sure.
As you do with your prospects of your favorite team.
Of course. Yep.
Also signed Guilherme Biru, MLS All-Star Guilherme Biru. I believe an unknown transfer fee. And again, you do not take transfer market as gospel, but his value on that site has gone from $850K when we signed him to $2 million today. And we do think is somebody that the next sporting director could very well likely try to come in here and move and sell for a profit and turn some of that into GAM. And of course, Guilherme showing up gave us one of our, maybe still your favorite player on the team. I'm not sure.
Yeah, he's still my favorite player on the team for sure. And I mean, like you said, transfer market is not gospel, but like if you've been watching this team, you've seen the value that this dude has created and generated moving forward. And I think that, as you mentioned, if you're looking at not even tearing this stuff down, but just making some moves around the fringes potentially, that left back position does have a very simple solution if you lose Guilherme. And for a team that's really low on GAM, if you have an asset that you can move, I understand it. I would be definitely bummed if we lose Guilherme because, like I said, he's my favorite player. But his progression and his rise as a very good left back in this league, it has been great to see.
Well, and I think like also on top of the potential GAM return, it's that on top of that, we have a player who we think is probably better at the position.
Correct.
Already on the roster. So he also drafted Jader Obrian in the re-entry draft. And look, man, I think you have to pay the respect to Jader for the season he had during the rebuilding year. Was our leading goal scorer. And started that season extremely frustrated. I don't remember how many times he got goal. I think twice goals called back. And also multiple pinged off the post and out in the first month or 2 of that season, and still ended up with the 8 goals that led the team at the end of the year. Obviously, it then progressed past that, 2025, no goals. We'll get, I think, to an extension for him, which like we can discuss when we get there. But at the time, like for what we needed in the rebuilding season, at least a passing grade on that acquisition for me.
I agree. I mean, I'm not going to forget what Jader did in that 2024 season, the way that he played. And like, it did make sense because we needed some depth and we needed some threats moving up the field. And he does have speed. And then, rough season, and it sucks that like that was the last memory of him because he was fun to watch in 2024.
Oh yeah,
like he was genuinely fun to watch, and like then it completely flipped on its head, and he was unwatchable in 2025.
Yeah. Last preseason 2024 note here, is that we signed Diego Rubio as a free agent with that $350K salary after being a DP the previous year for Colorado on slightly more than double that guaranteed comp. Again, like we said on the Rubio live stream that day, it was an A+ from a value standpoint in terms of building the roster out in a rebuild under the rules. With the knee issues kind of plaguing him the majority of time he was here, I think we got less than we wanted, thinking back to what we thought the ceiling could be for his tenure here in Austin. Mm-hmm. That said, man, I still think ultimately that was a success because Diego, and I think people obviously knew this about him before, but during his time here, he was very clearly, to me, a team-oriented guy and ended up on the supplemental roster last year, and so took multiple pay cuts to come in here and be a part of the rebuild and try to usher this franchise into its next chapter. I certainly don't fault Diego Rubio for where we're at right now.
No, absolutely not. And like with him, I didn't really know what my expectations were for him. I thought obviously a veteran guy past his prime, had some injuries that were really limiting what he could do. But like you saw the talent when he was with Colorado, and you saw what he was able to do when he was with SKC for a while. So like he was a very solid player coming in, but just the age, the knees, all that kind of stuff. But the stuff that he brought from an intangible standpoint and just a desire to win, I think one of those guys who, like we talked about, where it's like after losing Felipe, it was like, who's your kind of dog? Like the dark arts, he coined the term because like he did that shit. And like, we don't just give shit like that away now that it's super important, but like he was impactful in so many ways for this team. And I think he was a good influence on a lot of the younger guys as well.
So kind of tying in mid-season and summer window there in 2024, one of the first things that we did after that season started was sold Valentin Noel to the Las Vegas Lights, undisclosed transfer fee plus a sell-on. Again, that's probably 25, 50, whatever the minimum transfer fee is for a transaction like that. That's probably the number. And was just the best, I think, solution for all involved, because I don't know about you, I think at that point, Val Noel, not dissimilarly from Jorge Alistue right now, like is good enough in my eyes to occupy a supplemental slot, but not if you need the international spot. And especially at that point of the roster build, we could not afford that. So, I'm indifferent in terms of whether that was a good move or not. I just think it was good for Val Noel in his career to continue fucking playing at a level higher than next pro.
Yeah, and I think that it's telling that not a single MLS team has taken a shot on him. You know what I mean? It's with New Mexico right now, right? So, like, he hasn't made the cut anywhere. And, like, I liked Val Noel. I liked watching him play. I thought he was a good next pro player. But I just don't think he ever had the full quality to be, like, a guy you can count on, even if he is in the supplemental and stuff like that. And then when you bring into account the international slot as well, it's just the rules are weird, and sometimes it hurts dudes.
Yeah. We also had to sign Jimmy to a supplemental deal fairly early in that season because we exhausted his 4 short-term loan agreements. I don't believe that Jimmy ever appeared for the first team, certainly in a league match. But, he did at the very least fill a body on the bench there multiple times that season. We also signed Jean Kolmanich to an extension in the early parts of 2024. That was through the 25 season with an option for 26. And then 11 games in, you buy out Emiliano Rigoni due to the 12 appearance clause that would have exercised his 2025 option. And look, man, like I was thinking about this the other day, as I do. And like, if Claudio was still in his position, was he going to, right? Like, cause he knew that was in there. And like, would he, if he was still in the position, maybe not. I don't know.
You'd hope so.
If he was still in the position, maybe he is moving Rigoni on at that point or renegotiating it, you don't know. But that's what Rodolfo's front office was faced with. And we know that Borrell at that press conference said he had found two solutions, very famously, to move him on to another team. And then when the player and or the agent didn't agree, it was like, okay, well, we have to buy you out.
Yeah.
And that was a shocker to the fan base, and nothing that any of us were pissed about at the time.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, just seeing the games appeared clause for a DP fucking player is madness. Like, it's crazy. I know, we overreacted to it. I don't even know. We probably reacted appropriately to it because it is insane that was even on the fucking 12 games.
Yeah, 12.
A
third of a season.
It's a third of a season. What are we talking about?
Yeah.
And he would that was such a saga. Obviously, playing him in 11 and then on that opportunity to ship him out, boop, you're gone. What a terrible experience that was for him as well.
Hey, and dude, in that first 11 games of that season, we had him stealing the game in Houston off of CJ's head.
Yeah.
And his final play that I remember was in that 11th appearance where he assisted Driussi's winner on a corner.
Yeah.
And so look, at least left us with a couple positive plays there that legitimately built up that point total in that season. Obviously wasn't enough once we got to the end of 2024, but I will give him credit for that. As we got to the summer, he mutually agreed with Moussa Djite to terminate his contract. There were 6 months left on that as his loan expired mid-season. Always a little bit of a head scratcher that I know it aligned with the global calendar, but to not have a plan there outside of buy him out with 6 months left was not the best planning from the start, right? And he was sent out by, I think Rubio Wolf prior to 2023, which again, I'm not going to put a ton of shit on anybody for that, because it was from what I remember, right, with Moussa, it was a family, personal thing, right? He wanted to go back closer to home.
But we've had a couple of those situations where that's just been unfortunate, where it's family stuff. We can't get people over here, what have you. And I can't blame a dude for not wanting to be with his fucking wife and kids. I totally get that. And that's just feels obviously we're not in touch with everything that goes on with the league and all the movement and everything like that. But it just feels like that's happened quite often for us here in Austin.
I mean, dude, Moose, Ruben, slightly Boloko, Abuk, and Radovanovic. Slightly different. But his girlfriend or significant other did not want to be here, and that was reportedly a factor.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's 5, and 5 we never saw Boloko play, but 5 pretty good players that you lost out on because of personal issues. So then in the summer, right, you buy out Djite, but then here come the names, at least at the time. You buy Osman Bukhari, $7 million fee, bring him in. You also get Mikel Dessler on a free transfer, which I think is one of Rodo's best, all-encompassing in the sense of the efficiency under the roster rules and the salary cap, bringing him in on the free transfer, and then what he's given us on the field relative to both expectation and that salary number. The biggest hit on Dessler is just health.
Yep.
And can't always control that. So I don't know. I think that's been a pretty big win. Then you also bring in that window to round out the trio of acquisitions, Alexander Svatok. I believe that transfer fee was around $1.5 million. And I know it's been rough for almost everybody that's still remaining on the roster at this point when we're talking about this, but I think that's a passing grade for me bringing in Svatok. It's not great, not bad though, I don't think.
Yeah, no, it's definitely not bad for sure. And I mean, when we had one of the most stout defenses in the league, he was a huge part of that. And this was also was it the rumor that came through, and then we got to see him play Lukaku and shit. And
yes.
Let's fucking get this dude immediately. And Spotty's been, like you said, it's not a top center back in this league,
right?
But he is a fine starter to have in your roster. And if you have, some bit more stability and maybe a more talented pairing center back with him might look a little better.
Sure.
But a lot of things haven't looked great as of late. But I definitely would give Svati a passing grade.
Then coming out of that, that summer window, rather, that's when the league first announced the roster build path. So we did, if you recall, we did go 2-4 GAM down the stretch of that season. You bought down Ring, taking on that additional $1 million in GAM, right, that had to be used. So you buy down Ring, and then you also trade your one free international slot to Atlanta United through the end of that season for $75K GAM. And then finally, you fire Josh Wolf the morning after it becomes mathematically impossible to qualify for the playoffs. I think it's a solid rebuild year from that player personnel standpoint. And then, like, I know there's plenty of fans who would have loved to see Wolf, get the boot sooner than he did. But ultimately, I think the club, not just Roto, right, like kind of held to their word there in terms of like that is the bar. And as soon as they did not achieve that, he was out the door. And like, I know we're going to move into kind of the preseason 2025 portion here of this list in a moment, but like almost no delineation between when you fire Wolf and hire Nico, because goddamn was it fast.
Yeah, dude. And I mean, like, I don't even know if we had made the playoffs if he would have kept his job. Like I think they said make the playoffs is what we want, and it was kind of like here's an impossible task to do with this fucking team. You know what I mean? And like, yes, it was time to move on from Wolf, and the disaster that took place with Reyna, and like the disaster of having him and Rubio at the helm making decisions for portions of Austin FC's tenure here. But I mean, you set yourself up so nicely with that rebuild. You got great returns on a bunch of guys who are, again, Nick Lima's is he still in MLS?
He just retired last year, I think. Yeah.
Okay, so like we're talking about none of those dudes are still in the league, I don't think.
Yeah.
So like that
less than 3 years ago.
Yes, like that is a fantastic way to get this thing going. And then, we get so excited about Buka coming in, right? You're seeing this dude's highlights. You're seeing what he was doing for Red Star. And like, damn, like excited about this. And then he didn't meet expectations. As much as I love the dude, as much as I loved watching him play, we needed more counting stats out of you. And now you look at his career and how it's going over there. And where's he, in Poland now? And it ain't going well.
No, it is not. So we do, like, going into preseason 2025, you hire Nico Estevez, which, like, look, man, we didn't have to wait for Nico to get fired for us to not be happy with him and hoping that the change was going to come. And ultimately, like it or not, as a relative Roto fan here in the North End, like, it's a bad hire. Like, I don't care. People are like, if we're playing the reckless speculation drop, people all the time talking about, well, I wonder if it was a budget hire because Roto has this number for coach and player personnel. And so he decided to go this or that. And then Roto saying, one of the big factors was because he knows how to train teams in the heat, which, like, I guess, but like, I also don't think that should be like one of your 5 bullet points when you're looking for a head coach. I don't know, but it was a failure ultimately. And that is on Rodolfo Borrell. So like, if you're looking for like the big blemishes, I think that's the first one probably.
Yeah. I mean, I think this is the decision that ultimately, now, again, I don't know about any stuff that could have been going on and people that he didn't get along with in the front office or the entire organization, but I think this is ultimately the decision that eventually came back to take Roto's job because nobody was amped up about this hire. Like fucking fired up about it. And this was a fan base that was super frustrated with the coaching staff, in the prior.
He did that after Names You Won't Believe, like weeks after.
Yep.
So like that also factored into people being like, huh? Yeah. And like, we weren't like, I think you're probably referencing people that know soccer better than us, right? They have that depth of knowledge of like, these are some of the coaches that would come anywhere close to that type of expectation, not the guy that got fired by our rivals 6 months ago.
Yeah, and I mean, I just think this was ultimately the one decision that he made that you can directly point back to. And like you said, this is the first big blemish. There's still some that exist that we're going to get into and everything. But this is the one that I think also, like, ultimately cost him his head. And that's still part of the reason why I'm still upset about the Roto thing. Like, I am. Yeah. Like, I just don't think that we, you know, was it perfect? Like you said, was it great? No, but like, it was still good. It was good. And like, to give him that time where it's like, you come in, you got to learn how this is going to work differently from what you're used to, the state of the roster, the state of the salary cap, to turn those things around and be in a spot where, you know, it looks good on paper for sure. And then to only have one coach that you get, man, I still don't agree with it, but I understand it.
Yeah. When again, I also think, like you said, like there's just clearly stuff behind the scenes we're not privy to, right? Sure. That you have to factor in. So I think you see in the declined options preseason 25 how far the roster has come, because like it's not elite guys, especially at this point of all of their respective careers, but like you decline Matt Bersano, Ethan Finley retires, Matt Hedges retired, does the one day with Dallas, right? Alex Ring goes back home. Johan Valencia goes back home. Hector Jimenez was out of contract and eventually retired and went into coaching. So like, okay, there's some like career MLS guys like with championship, you know, Alex Ring, right? Matt Hedges. But also, again, like none of those guys are in the league anymore.
Yeah, I mean, just dudes who were very good players in this league for a very long time and just aged out.
Yeah, and 4 of the 6 have retired.
Yep, the league got better. Those dudes aged. That's a natural kind of thing that happens. So, like, that's not all. Obviously, that's not Roto, but like not extending those guys, is the right move.
Well, and I think it's again just trying to illustrate where the fucking roster was in 2023. So you get into the draft preseason 2025, traded the 12th pick and $75K GAM for a 2025 international slot from Colorado. Then took Riley Thomas with the 42nd overall pick and Pat Grashevsky with the 72nd overall pick. Of course, Pat has been injured, I think, for all but 2 games of his Austin FC2 tenure. Riley Thomas on the first team supplemental, similar to Jimmy, ran out of those call-ups last season and got the deal. We also signed contract extensions for Owen Wolf, Danny Pereira, Jader Obrian, Diego Rubio, and Brendan Heinzeich, and this contract is what put Diego Rubio on the supplemental roster. Love all of those, except Jader Obrian, but I think it's probably Captain Hindsight coming in there a little bit, because I think it's an interesting discussion on whether or not are we overreacting to Jader Obrian being the leading scorer in a rebuilding season where we know if this roster is fully built out under any sort of competent vision that Jader Obrian is going to be a bench player. Like, did we need to extend him there or give him I don't remember the exact numbers between the 2 deals. But I think, again, like if we have the benefit of hindsight, that was the one kind of slip up in that moment. But overall, with those 5 guys, I think at the time, all of it more than made sense for where we were at and where we were trying to go.
Yeah, I mean, like we talked about earlier with Jader, obviously that 2025 season is putting a big, tint on how we're seeing this. But I mean, if you go back, right, 2021 FC Dallas 9 goals, 2022 3 goals, 2023 7 goals, 2024 8 goals. And I mean, like you said, yes, if you're a competent, really good team, he's a bench guy. But like, we expected him to score that season.
Yeah, not 0.
Everyone expected him to fucking score a goal that season. And like, it wasn't crazy to think that you could have gotten 3 or 4 goals out of him that year.
Yeah, it's fair. We also sent Damian on another season of loan to Louisville, of course. And like, good move by all involved. Bought out the final year of that Giassi Zardes contract, who through all of this is on the goddamn roster.
For $1 million.
Yes. Tam Zardes at that point. That was a Reyna signing. I want to say he was announced by the club before the blackmail stuff came out. Signed Ilie in free agency, became the team captain. And I think like jumping ahead to the preseason for this year, like we now know that Ilie has been re-signed to a contract that is supplemental eligible. So like from the roster build standpoint, under the salary cap rules, both Ilie contracts, I think, have been great. where we are still at in terms of how much we rely on him is a problem because you can't, like, team captain, yada, yada. If he can't give you 90 minutes, we're in trouble.
Yeah.
Our guys that we count on, like we do with Ilya, have to be 90-minute game in, game out players, barring injury. So I think that is the fact that we don't have, with all the fucking bodies in the defensive midfield, that we don't have anybody else who can hold the shit together. I think it's a big ding on Roto.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, think of where this team would have been without Ilya, because like, especially last season, man, you're not making the Open Cup final without Ilya. You're not having, I don't know if you make the playoffs without the guy, because like you said, to me, it's more of the two dudes behind him are just zeros. You know what I mean? Like Duber, obviously. I know
you're down on him.
Still young.
Yeah.
I got to see something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like, I can't really fault him all the way when you're paired with Sabo and like,
Yeah.
That's like having a bad coworker. I get it, but like the other two dudes they are non-factors right now. And like, am I lower on Duber than some people? For sure. And, I'm not giving up on the guy. Like I said, with Micah, his story, I don't think it's done. But to the point where it's like, yeah, you can't beat out 35-year-old Ilya Sanchez.
Yeah.
For minutes, man. Like, writing's on the wall for me. Sure. And like, we've seen Ilya like taking less money, potentially being linked to coaching, after the season. You know what I mean? Like, he's trying to get out. And it's just like, y'all are just like holding the door.
We need you, brother.
Yeah.
And then we get into the big purchases and the big sales. You signed Brandon Vasquez, $10 million fee right around there, right? Of course, taking a DP spot. But, like, I know that some people are like, Brandon Vasquez, $10 million, too much, no matter what. I think you pay a little bit of a premium there, or are rather happy to pay a little bit of a premium because he's a domestic designated player. And with how bad our international slots had been to that point, that was one of the biggest things that I was excited about from that nerdy roster sheet side of things, is getting a DP that we didn't have to spend one of those international slots on. And, man, who knows how last season ends up if the knee doesn't give out, non-contact as it did.
Yeah.
So I think maybe an incomplete, certainly not a failing grade for me on Brandon Vasquez. Might have one or two coming up, but I still think that was a pretty good piece of business.
Yeah, I do too. He was a proven goal scorer wherever he was, especially in this league. Obviously had the two just incredible seasons with Cincy in 2022 and 2023 there. And yes, I cannot give a full grade yet on BV because that is a hefty price tag. I do think he's worth that money. This ACL injury, though, like that can change things. That can change careers. So I got to see what he looks like when he gets back all the way ramped up. We talked about, his struggles with finishing in the 2025 season, but I absolutely believed that he was going to be able to get that figured out. And another dude who also had a ton of shitty luck off the crossbar, off the post, what have you, like happened a lot with the guy. So like, incomplete for me now, and I'm still excited to have BV on this roster.
Well, then the best player that has ever worn an Austin FC jersey leaves the country and demands to be transferred. So you end up selling Sebastian Driussi to River Plate for a $10 million fee, which, like, if you can remember back to that saga, dude, I remember sitting here in January. It was like almost by the hour we're getting an update either from the South American side of things or from, I want to say CL Merlot was also reporting on this along with Tom Bogert. And like, it started where like, okay, yeah, like we've heard River wants Seba back. We've heard that for 3 years, yada, yada. To like, I don't know, man, maybe there's something here to, oh shit, he's in Argentina to 5, 6, 7, 9. And then the sale being reported at 10. I remember sitting in group chats with you when we get the report from Bogert that there's like a $7 million offer going around. We're like, dude, if he wants to leave and you can break even on this, take it right now. Yeah. And no, man, you end up getting $10 million. So who knows what the fuck went on there, but like some of the like Roto's best negotiations, I think, have clearly been, at least from the information we know, have been the outbound sales, which is not always what you like. We love some of that magic on those guys that can come fucking play for us, but I don't know, man. That was a pretty impressive piece of business, I think, outbound business by Roto. $10 million for an asset that is just not coming back to the country.
Yeah, literally just not going to come back to the country. And obviously that, departure is, just heartbreaking for people like me who fucking love to do to you as well. But like we understood it. If he's not going to come back, what are you going to do? Like, there's nothing you can do. And I wasn't too mad at Seba because you go through that rebuild, you have the shitty roster, all this other stuff is happening. You have the stuff with, Wolf and the fan base and all that. So like, I get wanting to go back and play for River Plate and all that, but to get 10 million for the dude that's just great business.
Yeah,
it is, period.
Well, and then, you can look at that in a vacuum and be happy about it. But 2 days later, or however it felt like 2 days. I don't remember the exact timeline, but you turn around and you sign Mirtu, paying the $12.5 million release clause, and like black spot on your record as a sporting director, whether you want to talk about the price that he has not paid off, the fit issues with him. And so like, I don't care what the story was on like, we're spinning two plates to give a Josh call back there. And like Brandon comes through, but then also this comes through and okay, Seba's gone and we got 10 million for him. So we'll take Mirtu as well. Like whatever the fuck went on there, dude, that was a poor assessment at best of how this could work between those two guys. So like, I know he's still on the roster. I'm still hopeful that he's not on the roster as we get into and past this summer transfer window, but F for me on the Azuni signing. And like, it's also not all like F for Roto. Not much more than that for Mirtu from me in terms of the play on the field. Because guess what, man? The sporting director doesn't cause you to miss bunnies. Yeah, for sure. And I mean, obviously it feels like Seba's like your ex and like you're thinking you got this new, I mean? Like, there's just not a universe that I would ever rather have Mirtu than Seba. It does not exist. And I often will talk about how much I think this team would be fucking incredible with him behind those guys. But yes, I think it has to be, it's going to get worse. The grade is going to have to get worse. It's just so I'll put it on the D right now because when we take a loss on whatever we're going to take on him, we can shift it then to an F. Okay. But like with Mirtu, man, I genuinely just don't understand the logic behind being like, hey, these are two guys who can play with each other. We're going to spend the most amount of money on these two guys to play with each other. And I don't know what the thought process was behind that. And like, who am I to question, obviously, the soccer acumen of Roto? But like, I genuinely just can't figure out what skill sets those two guys had that would have even kind of benefited one another. Yeah. And like, as much as I disagreed and disliked what, the soccer wise dudes were saying when they were clowning on Roto after he got fired, they were right about their assessment of Mirtu, where it's just for sure. I haven't ever seen the dude beat somebody one-on-one. You know what I mean? It's just like not, and I have, you know what I mean? Like it's happened, but right. Not to the level that we need out of that type of top player. Not where it's going on the highlights where Soccer Wise can see it. Exactly. Yes. Then you turn around, you spend $3 million on Nico Dubersarski, who, like, again, still very young, still under team control for like 4.5 more seasons. Mm-hmm. So maybe we are singing a different tune down the road. But I would say, again, that is at best an incomplete for me. Maybe D+. I don't know. But to your point earlier, man, like I know I'm a little bit higher on Duber still than you are, but it's not like I have a bunch of ammo coming out and like making a strong case for him. My case is kind of just like, let's wait a little bit more. Yep, and that's why I because like I said, I'm not giving up on the kid for sure. I'm not. But like I gotta see something, and like he's gonna be 22 in December. Yeah, you know what I mean. So like I know that the U22 isn't exactly like there's some date, right? He's already up, I believe, to the 200K. cap hit instead of the 150.
D, man, D. And again, the glaring, the glaring thing with the Mirtu BV stuff was like, how can these guys possibly play together? Duber has, in my opinion, hasn't done his job. Like, he just hasn't gone out there and shown that, like, yes, I'm worth this special roster designation, and I'm someone you can count on, and someone you should be excited about moving forward.
Yeah, I think it's fair. The best thing about Besard Savovich, it was a free transfer.
Yeah, there you go.
And there ends the positive things we can say about that. And I guess my question to you is, which is worse? Besard Savovich acquisition and his current contract, or Mirtu's acquisition and the transfer fee that we spent on him for that release clause?
Holy shit.
I think it's Mirtu for me. You have to hit the money. DPs. You have to hit the DPs.
Yeah, you have to hit the DPs. I'm there. Obviously, this Savovich thing, F-. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean he's been a zero.
Yeah, a zero, a literal zero. So this has to end. We have to move on from this. And it's just so interesting, right? Like, maybe we were giving Roto some grace because it was like, hey, yeah, we're rebuilding, get some guys in here who we can start to build little pieces around. But like when you go through this run right now, where it's like Mirtu, Duber, Sabo, fuck.
Yeah. Bad window.
Yeah.
Preseason 2025.
Bad.
And you're not done. Because after you sign Besard Savovich, you extend John Kolmanich through 26 with a 27 option. I don't know what the point of the second extension is. Because, and look, I know, right? Like in this time period, Jean does his ACL, recovers from that. Like you need more time to get back from that fully, especially when you're not playing game in and game out, right? But like, I don't know, man. The second extension is still a little bit of a head scratcher to me, and I guess I can live with that because you also extend Guilherme Biru through 27 with a 28 option, and it feels like that's going to turn into some GAM for us at some point.
Yes, absolutely. And the thing with Kolmanich, right? I was watching either highlights or an actual older game a couple nights ago, and Kolmanich has gotten worse all around. I think he has actually gotten worse.
He hasn't gotten better to my eye.
And it was weird because he was one of those guys that we were still excited about, and he was kind of in that Duber space with me for a little bit there, where it's like, he's still young, let's give him some time. Has a devastating injury. I know how that impacts careers and players and everything like that, but he definitely has not gotten better. I will say that.
Yeah. Well, and I think the high point, and just gonna sound like a doofus fan, just player score a goal, player good, but dude, when he got his first goal assisted by Azuni at Minnesota last year,
awesome.
Best I ever felt about him, I think, as a player and going forward with our team. And he hasn't shown very well since then. No, which I think is the story of the majority of his tenure with Austin. Just haven't shown very well outside of the outstanding service that he provides with that left foot. But we need somebody a little less one-dimensional, I think. In any spot, any spot on the depth chart, you got to be able to do a little bit more, I think.
And what makes it also look even worse is you look at that logjam at left back now. And it's is that kind of forcing Guilherme's way out? You know what I mean? Is that forcing him? Is it somewhat of it's the first thing we come back to when we talk about Guilherme, or one of the first things. It's there's guys there. You know what I mean? And then to extend both of them was just, again, one – odd.
And dude, this is not we'll get into the mid-season notes here in a moment, but I didn't put this in the notes, but we're clearly sniffing around Diego Palacios last summer.
Oh, absolutely.
And the plan to add another left back was always there. It wasn't just Rosales.
That's a great call out.
So I think the Biru sale has been on the mind of the front office, I think. For over a year here, it feels like, because I don't think it's we can sell Jean,
exactly. Yep. That's a great call.
Last thing, preseason 25, dude, this is fucking cutthroat. You sell Gavin Wolf's academy rights to the Dynamo, undisclosed fee plus a sell on and add-ons up to 100K GAM. So Gavin Wolf killing in Next Pro right now.
Yep.
But I think we're a ways off from the 100K GAM add-ons, which if we ever see that pop up in the account, all right.
Some of those Believe bucks coming in.
So you get into 2025 and pretty early into the season, you sell Leo Väisänen to BK Häcken in Sweden for 450K. Thumbs up, right? Nothing crazy.
Sucked.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, tough. And then I just feel for the guy, immediately gets back home and tears his ACL. But can you imagine if that happened with us? Stuck with him?
Yeah. I mean, he was also hurt all the time.
Yeah.
One of those guys that just hurt all the time.
Yeah.
Weird and always just weird. And like, I'm not saying that led to this ACL injury or anything like that, but like,
right.
His flashes in the pan moments were far fewer than, hey, dude, are you alive?
Yeah.
Like, you know what's going on right now?
Yeah. Yeah. You also signed CJ Fodre to a contract extension through 27. You got double option on the end of that, 28 and 29. And then final day of the primary window, you trade with Inter Miami for Robert Taylor in exchange for 450K in 2025 GAM, 250K in 2026 GAM, and a conditional 50K in 27 GAM, dependent on Taylor's roster position. I do want to again clarify to those who have forgotten that the amount that we yes. The amount that Miami had already applied to Robert Taylor's budget charge was the exact amount that we sent back to them in 2025K GAM. So it wasn't like we were just reimbursing them for what they already did to basically take on the entirety of Robert Taylor's budget charge. It wasn't on top of it's not like you gave away 450K and then paid 600K of Robert Taylor's salary cap. Correct. That was not what happened there.
I'd rather have 450K game.
I'll say D- just to be different from you.
Okay.
And because the 30 minutes that Robert Taylor hasn't had a fucked up knee, he's looked okay this year.
Yeah, for sure.
Can't kick a soccer ball without getting hurt, but in theory,
yeah. Okay, I'll jump up to like a D there, D-, what have you. But like, it's also just the optics of dealing with that fucking team. Because I'm
glad you said that.
Why don't help them?
Yeah.
Dude, and like it wasn't like you did them like they did you a giant favor here. It wasn't like you got somebody on a supreme discount. I know obviously you're not paying the $6. We're paying for him now. Like and he's not playing. So like, and it's just like, and you knew that Miami had to get something done to do whatever, to get whoever the fuck they were getting to bring over whatever ex La Liga player or Premier League guy to get him over here. And it's like that's what initiated my initial just F. But also just another guy like has been banged up, haven't been able to see you play, man. He's got one goal? It was in a blowout win, right?
Yeah.
Like comes off the bench. It's like you've kind of been a zero.
Yeah. Close to it. It's definitely not a win. It's definitely not one of these acquisitions that Rodo, who knows if he ever goes back to a sporting director role, but like that's not one he's putting on the resume. That's for sure. And I mean, and also like we're looking at a lot of these guys, you didn't come in and perform after we did see some stuff from you. It was like, oh yeah, you got some stuff in you. Like I remember watching the Savovich highlights with you, and like we have had to curtail our excitement. Like obviously we get amped up whenever anything Austin FC happens, but like he's been horrible, and like it clearly. And I think obviously the level of the play in this league has raised. The quality of the highest of the highs in this league now that exist, I think are better than we've seen at any point in time. Of course. And floor is also higher.
Exactly. Like the players are better now, and there clearly looks to be some sort of like pace of the game that just doesn't translate from certain leagues. And I don't have a list of those leagues, but like you see some guys and it's like, whoa, this game's a little too fast for you.
Yeah. Or more physical or whatever it is, too hot, whatever.
Too hot.
Start getting towards the summer. You sign Mateo Djordjevic, $1 million fee from FKTSC, taking up that U22 slot. I still think, man, like he has not, let's not get it twisted. Mattea has not looked good in his 2 appearances this season. I think it's just 2. First one, I'll give him a little bit of grace, having to play right back with Mikael Dessler as his right wing in that instance. But, like, I would like to, especially, like, when I'm thinking about John Bell, who we haven't gotten to yet, like, maybe I should be more concerned than I have been that Mattea's not beating out John Bell. Because, like,
that's what I was going to say.
I don't have anything against John Bell. But, like, a guy who's been in the league for 4 or 5, maybe more years now, that's never been more than a supplemental guy on any of these rosters. Our $1 million U22 guy can't beat him out after being here almost a full year. Like, it's something we should have probably already been watching and something to watch going forward into the next window, assuming that Mattea is still here.
Yeah, dude. And that was going to be my point. It was just like, John Bell has clearly taken that third center back spot. Like, clearly.
Yep. Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's just like, I respect the hell out of John Bell. I like John Bell as a player and as a person, and the way that he has worked and the things that has happened to him in this league, and his ability to continue to bounce back and have, that dedication to find his way. He wants to work his way off a supplemental spot for sure. You know what I mean? So, like, and he's doing that, and I get that, and I respect him for that. But, like, to your point, when it's, hey, you're a U22 guy, we need to hit these, and you can't beat out. And again, no disrespect, shade.
Just the reality of his career so far.
The reality is Djordjevic should be a better prospect who's beating you out and getting these minutes, and he's not.
Yep. You also signed Nicky Bolocco on a free transfer, and of course he went back to Europe 2 months later without playing for Austin due to those personal reasons. So, like, I think we've already went through some. I think we're still going to go through some more acquisitions or moves that are again, big time negatives on the Roto tenure. That's not one for me, as frustrating as it was. Like, man, Nicky Bolocco's not signing the deal and coming over here if he thinks that that's going to happen. Same on the Austin side. So just unfortunate circumstances. But again, also fitting into that list of guys that we talked about earlier.
Yeah, and it hurt. We needed the dude last year. Like we said,
a body,
and like even we're talking about was like where Duber couldn't beat you out, Ilya. Savage, terrible. Yeah. Could Bolocco have come in and, taken those reins from Ilya?
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah, potentially. You also then go into Flipadelphia mode where you acquire a 2025 international slot from Philly Union for $50K GAM. Then you turn around and trade that slot to New England Revolution for $225K GAM. And then after Bolocco had to leave, we had the additional slot, which we also shipped off to New England for the remainder of last season. Got $150K GAM in that transaction. Then you also, near the end of the season, signed Brad Stuver to a contract extension through 27 with a 28 option in September, or December, rather. A+. Absolutely. Yeah. You signed Brad Stuver to a contract extension. You get the A+ from us. So you move into preseason of this year. Those roster decisions, BHI's option was auto exercised based on performance metrics that he hit in 2025. The club exercised the contract options of Danny Pereira, Riley Thomas on that reserve minimum deal, and Stephen Cleveland, who, of course, then you ship to Sporting KC for $50K GAM. Decline the options of a TAM Julio Cascante, reserve minimum Jimmy Farcarlin, and supplemental Diego Rubio. That Rubio deal also could have potentially had an escalator in it that takes him off the supplemental roster, and I believe now back home playing in his native Chile, if I'm not mistaken. But again, I think over the 3 years, you see the names of these guys that are being let go, the quality of player elevates, I think, every single year here. So, yeah, man, I mean, looking at this, and we're not done with 2026 yet, but 2025 was bad, dude. Bad from a front office standpoint. Yeah,
it did not go as planned. That's for sure. And the biggest, black mark is the Ozuni BV fit and the spend that took. And that just really, really hampered you.
The special slots.
Yep.
You didn't do good.
Nope. You missed those for sure. Did you go for the sale of Buka?
I believe that is coming up here.
Oh, okay.
We had I think I have it in here. If I don't, that is a huge oversight because it was at some point in here, like we were on a stream, right? When that happened. I want to say it might have been the draft stream or maybe Jaden Nelson. I think it was maybe Nelson because we traded the 17th. Traded the 17th pick and 1.25 million in GAM over 2 seasons for Jaden Nelson from Vancouver Whitecaps. And right, Nelson on that contract under team control through December of 2029 and on $550K this season. I know the up and down nature of his first 15 games here or the first half of the season. I still think that's going to pan out to be as long as that injury is what we thought, right? More precautionary than like a real nagging thing that he's going to be dealing with going forward. Like I think that's going to turn out to be a plus in terms of the full tenure here for Borrell and his staff.
Definitely agree with that. And yes, it was the Jaden live stream that the Buka News came through on that. Yes, I'm still super excited about Jaden Nelson, what he's going to be able to bring to this team. And, despite the saga that he's had to start this season with the World Cup stuff, the injuries, blah, 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 is he playing and what have you, he's still been impactful when he's been healthy and he's been out there.
Yeah, I agree. In the draft, right, you gave away you traded away that 17th pick. So Stefan Dobrahevich at 47, Patrick Kayeli at 77, both signed to ATX2 and playing just fine at worst right now, considering what that team is doing and how well they're playing. Talked about the Cleveland trade. You extended Danny Pereira once again, now on a TAM deal. You signed Owen Wolf to a U22, so the second raise under the Borrell front office for both of those players. Signed John Gallagher to an extension through 27-28 with an option for 28-29. And similar to the Burton deal 2 years prior, Irvin Torres about to turn 18. You grab him on a homegrown deal. Pluses, passing grades for me on all of those.
Yep. Yeah, those are maybe C would be the lowest on any of those, but B's and up for sure.
Yeah, I'm with you. Traded $1.5 million in cash to Minnesota United in exchange for Joseph Rosales. Then you signed Joe to a new contract under team control now through the end of 29-30. Joseph Rosales on $530K this season. Of course, a TAM player on the roster profile because of that amortized cash for fee. And best move by Roto in a long time, I think. About a year.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the guy's been our most consistent and best player to start this season, and I'm super excited to see what he looks like when this team is actually fully healthy, has a head coach, has some direction.
Well, and I will say, I think the remainder of these notes from preseason and midseason 2026, I think Roto had a good window coming into this year. You sign Ilie to the new contract that makes him eligible for the supplemental roster. John Bell in free agency, same deal in terms of his cap number. Both of those guys on the senior roster on that first roster profile release. But I think both of those are pieces of good business. Then this was in the notes. You sell Osman Bukhari to Vidzu Loads for $6 million. Almost recouping the entire initial fee that you paid for the player. Again, in a situation where he wants to leave and you're selling him for a record fee in the Ekstraklasa. Like you said, man, it's been rough. It's been a rough go for him in his new digs over there. And you turn around and you use, most of that on the $9.5 million fee for Facundo Torres from Palmeiras. And nobody has played well so far this season in terms of the full picture, but I'm still very excited personally to have Facundo Torres as a DP on our roster, given his age and his career to this point. I think the best of Facu is almost all in the future in an Austin FC uniform. That's how I feel about the player at present.
Yes, that's how I feel about Facu as well. I think, another thing that's been hampering his start, obviously, is the injuries of players around him and what that fit is going to look like. And when your, center forward is Birtu and he's not really working off of you and having that 1-2 kind of game and everything, like he's been able to make stuff happen. And I'm super excited about Facu moving forward here. And it's only 26. You know what I mean? I think that gets lost in people's minds because he was such a staple for Orlando, 123 appearances with that team. But he's only 26 years old. And I think he's going to continue to get better here And I'm looking forward to it. I think I said it, on the last episode where it's like I've been defending him as a DP, and part of that is because I do believe in what he's going to be able to bring. And like, you can enter a new prime here at 27, 28. You know what I mean? Like, you can hit that and like really be hitting your stride. So I'm excited for Facu. There has to be changes around him. But like overall, he's better than Buka. Like, he's a better all-around player than Buka. Like, obviously he's not as fast, but like, he's just better all around.
You also bought out Hot Air Obrian, which I think, we were hoping you could get a little bit of a sale there, but I think as we said it, or as we speculated at the time, I think those Colombian clubs knew you were just going to have to buy him out, and we don't have to pay anything for him. So, but then you trade an international slot to RSL for $235K GAM, which comes back to us in July, and you trade another slot to the Galaxy, $240K GAM, also comes back to us in July. Then the season starts. You sign Christian Ramirez off of waivers. You bid $225K to make him eligible for the supplemental roster. And then you reportedly have a pre-contract signed with Przemysław Płacheta, which we will see. Again, we think he is still coming. Talking to some of our buddies who again know this stuff a lot better than we do. I think it's on the player to back out, if anything. So you may still see Płacheta arriving here this summer. So I guess maybe getting ahead of myself, will not pass judgment on a signing that may or may not happen until it does, and we can see the player potentially perform for our favorite team. But I don't know, man, the two international slots combined with Ramirez, I think 2025 is where, like, absent any knowledge about what goes on behind the scenes with Rodo and his staff, between the players, other agents, what have you, I think from a roster build perspective, not rocket science here, but it was last season, 2025 was the big speed bump, because I think 2024, going back through all of that, was very productive from a roster build standpoint. And I think it did good work here at the beginning of 2026. The results certainly don't bear that out on the field. We know there's more context surrounding it, but that's kind of my takeaways. I guess I didn't really learn anything new. I think I kind of, for myself, he confirmed my priors, thinking that no, Rodolfo Borrell did in fact know the roster rules. He made a lot of moves trying to improve the roster from the crater that it was in when he got here. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, was not good enough, because your responsibility is the results on the field. And they never really came, despite the what I think some people would call overperformance last year. I think those guys deserved every bit that they got, and they earned it. But still, the full body of work, not good enough. And you will hear no huge argument from me on the two moves that were made. As surprised as I was about Rodo not getting a second coach, I think that's where, from the reporting that's been around it, it's stuff that we don't know that may have pushed that over the top.
I still don't agree with it. I just don't. I don't think, obviously, and I said it before, that Rodo did himself any favors with saying the names you couldn't believe and giving himself a strict kind of timeline, because I think that's what happened, where it was like 2025. Hey, we've eclipsed the windows that I said we were going to be shitty in. We got to start ramping this team up, and maybe you made some hasty decisions with what took place. I can't put all of the blame at the feet of Rodo for this, because a lot of guys that we talked about, you have shown up here and you have proven yourself to not be the player that you were in your last stop, or we've had issues with guys finishing, with how guys fit, and all of that. I think that there's just enough progression from where this team started when Rodolfo Borrell showed up to this point at where we're at, where it just I think the guy needed more fucking time. And some people disagree with that, and that's totally fine. But you're going to have to hit this one coming up now. Now the pressure is really ramped the fuck up to hit this one. So you'll have to see what it looks like. But I personally think, and I know Rodolfo Borrell hired him, I just think that it's crazy that he only got one head coach, his guy, to put in there. And you picked the wrong guy. Everyone said it at the time. This wasn't the right move. But they've also had some bad luck. You know what I mean? Did you miss on DPs? Yes. Did you also have one of your big DP tear an ACL? He goes down. You have arguably the dude who was our best player in 2025 and Owen Wolf out to start this season. You have all these odd kind of injuries to Jaden Nelson stuff. Like, again,
he forced his way out.
Yep. Again,
that threw a wrench into your 2025 plans, I would imagine.
Absolutely. So like, again, you can be bad and have some unfortunate luck. I still don't think overall Roto was bad. I mean, like, are you giving him a failing grade for?
No.
Overall,
not a failing grade. No.
Okay.
No.
See,
and from how we are viewing this, we're looking at the transactions, what he did for the roster, right? And like, if somebody ever gives us the clear context of conduct away from that contributed to him being let go, then yeah, we'll factor that in. But just from this standpoint, looking at the transactions under the roster rules and where the roster came from, yeah, it's definitely not a failing. It's a passing grade for me, but like lack of result. We didn't even win a fucking Copa Tejas while he was here, right? Not in one of the full years that he was here. So it's hard to be much higher than like that C level. But again, like confirming what I was kind of head scratching, these people suggesting that he didn't know the rules or like ever make any good moves. Like that's just silly.
Yeah. Okay.
Anything else for you on this? God damn. Over an hour, I think. We can talk longer about this stuff, but good thing we have notes to kind of guide us through a little bit here. Anything else for you, man?
I'm good, brother.
Come on down to Farmer Field where the champions play. Get ready for the game. It's Lost Business Day.
Last business day here on episode 311 of the North End podcast. This match for the second team will take place next Sunday. So this is a Sunday, June 7th, 7:30 p.m. kick out there at Palmer Field. I know we are planning to be in attendance for this one. And because, right, next week's episode will come out mere hours before this kickoff, felt like we should give a little bit of a preview here on episode 311 to allow anybody that's interested in this second team match to get these notes in. Taking a look at the table for the YouTube viewers, right? After a week of play here this weekend, where Austin FC 2 was on bye, they have now dropped down into third place after their weekend of inactivity because St. Louis City 2 got a dub yesterday. So we're now 2 points back of St. Louis City, who we beat last week. 2 points back, but 2 games in hand. So still very much second place on a points per game basis. LAFC 2, we have a game in hand on them, and we are 4 points up. They are sitting on 5 wins, 4 draws, and 3 losses on the season, those 21 points from their 12 games. All-time head-to-head between these two clubs, Just 1 win for Austin, 2 draws, 2 losses. And at Palmer Field, 1 win, 1 draw, 1 loss, with Austin taking home the additional point in that 1 PK shootout. LAFC, like we mentioned, down to 6th in the West on those 21 points and coming off a 1-1 PK shootout win over second place St. Louis. Probably their best result on the season. They have 4-1 losses, both on the road to San Jose 2, who's sitting there in 7th. That was in early March. And then a 4-1 road loss to 11th place Tacoma Defiance as well. In fact, man, their road record this season, terrible. No wins, 4 draws, 2 losses, -5 goal differential. So definitely not looking to allow LAFC 2 their first road win of the season next Sunday. Some of the players you want to be looking out for there at Palmer Field. Number 90, 23-year-old forward, Tommy Mihailich, 6 goals, no assists in his 12 starts. Maybe the best player on this roster is number 20, as a 20-year-old midfielder, Matthew Evans. He is an off-roster homegrown for LAFC's first team. Evans has 4 goals, 3 assists in just 8 starts, so leading the team in goal contributions, playing only 2/3 of the year so far. Another off-roster homegrown 22 midfielder, Jude Terry. I believe he's 17 years old. 1 goal, no assists in his 3 Next Pro starts this season. Terry also has, for my money, one of the nicest goals in MLS play this year. Banger at Portland in a call-up earlier this season. Of course, those off-roster homegrowns, of which we have none, those guys can play in 6 games per season on short-term call-ups, different from your short-term loan agreements. Also wanted to note number 23 midfielders, 23-year-old Sebastian Nava, 3 goals, 2 assists in his 12 starts. A couple other supplemental guys, 77 Aaron Weibo, forward on the LAFC supplemental roster as a homegrown, only 97 minutes in Next Pro this season. Number 31 is goalkeeper Cabral Carter. Like 2 last names there. Also a supplemental player for their first team, 22-year-old, 3 starts in Next Pro this season. Number 41, Ethan Scally, has been the second team's goalkeeper of late and wearing the armband. But I mentioned guys like Carter and Weibo because we are in this first team break. Maybe they bring all of these guys to Palmer Field. And like talking about Austin, maybe we do the same. Like, could Damian Loss start here during the break? Could you get some CJ minutes? Things like that. Potentially not during this game because of the 3-week mandatory break for the first team right now. So maybe those guys cannot play, but I wouldn't hate to see those guys get some time. But obviously Austin FC2 rolling regardless. What are your thoughts here looking ahead to next Sunday at the pitch?
I got distracted because I was on FOTMob there, and then I toggled the home away stuff, and they got teams. They got teams with -1 wins.
I saw deducted points there. I don't even remember what that's for, but I did see that when I toggled the away table for LAFC.
That was funny. Bring whoever you want, LAFC. Bring Buanga if you need to, because you're gonna fucking need it. to play in this Austin FC2 club hot right now. The boys should be in the house for this matchup. But, like, you know, it's the same thing we've talked about with this team. This Austin FC2 team is just absolutely rolling right now. All of the right buttons are being pushed by the coaching staff. You're getting the most out of the players. Every single dude that you have go out there. I mean, you've been without Micah and Irvin at times. We've seen Micah kind of get pushed out of the starting lineup at points in time in favor of other players. And there's just so many dudes on this team to be fucking excited about. Like, obviously, Jorge is awesome. I love Saul. We haven't even, like, Kenny Hott, partially because of the name. I still like, he's been playing well. So, like, I'm excited for this game, man. I'm excited for Austin FC2. And like we said, you know, this is our team.
Austin FC2, that's my team, dude. Well, we know Charlie Farah and Pat Grishevsky have been back in practice, right? Mm-hmm. But it's hard to say that Eric Lauta should be rotated out, at least until this team cools off. Only maybe for a guy named Damian Loss, but Grishevsky hasn't played since March 14th of last year against Loons too. So whenever he's back available on the bench, that seems like it's going to be a significant milestone for the kid in his injury recovery. Where are Irvin and Micah, right? Missed last game with the second team, but we're not with the first team. So hoping that both of those guys are okay. Same with like Adrian Gonzalez, who came out a couple games ago. Jules Berry left early, allowing Neoche to make his Austin FC2 debut. But like if Berry is forced to miss, maybe Chesla slots in at center back for him. Artem Dashkovets could make his debut, right? The Ukrainian center back who we have not seen yet. So, like, even with how well this team has been playing, man, we have guys waiting in the wings who we either don't know anything about or we're draft picks and we think are going to be decent players at this level. So, I think still everything trending upward for this team. Unless you have anything else to add, man. How much is Austin FC2 winning by next Sunday?
Man, I'm gonna go 2-1. Okay. You know, I think they're cruising right now. I don't want to be like 4-0, again 3-1, just crushing teams and everything like that.
You could.
I could. I have before. Yeah, give me 2-1.
I'm gonna be boring and copy you, man. I also have a 2-1 win here, and with the North End in attendance, man, we don't care how you get it done. want to protect home field and bring us 3 points.
And if we could have essentially a boy factory.
The Boy Factory, hard work in the first team quality. Today's academy, can't you see? Tomorrow's Austin FC.
Nobody clip Boy Factory and use that.
I gotta say that got me again. If we could have essentially a Boy Factory. Boy Factory, episode 311E, and unfortunately, reporting the end of the Academy season here. MLS Next Cup taking place over the last week, starting with the U13s who were in action this weekend. They took on Weston FC in the round of 32 in that U13 bracket. Took a tough loss there, 4-2 against Weston. U14s had a little bit of a longer run here, and I think the longest run of our 4 teams in the competition. U14s started off against Alexandria Soccer Academy in the round of 32. You get the 2-1 victory there. You move on to the round of 16, taking on St. Louis City's U14s, 1-1 draw in regulation, 5-4 victory in the PK shootout. So you go to the quarterfinals, the Elite Eight, as it were here, and you go down to Inter Miami's U14s, a 2-1 scoreline there, but a very, very positive run, I think, from what we can tell on the outside looking in for the U14s. So well done, boys, on that foray into the bracket. You go up a level. U17s took on Southern Soccer Academy in their round of 32. You get the 2-0 victory. You go to the round of 16, taking on the LA Galaxy. You drop that match. 3-1 scoreline against the Galaxy U17s. And then you close it out with the big team here, U19s, 2-0 victory over Cedar Stars Academy in the round of 32. They also took on St. Louis's Academy in the round of 16 and bow out with the 2-0 defeat. So look, man, I think it's been a very fun year covering the Boy Factory. I think from the, again, like, we're not there every day. We're not watching all of these games all the time, but it feels like a productive season for the Academy. And the only way to really know, man, is if we see any of these guys coming up to the second team here as the Academy season pauses, right? I assume you get some of those U19s going off to, different collegiate commitments and such, but maybe we see more of those amateur agreement players with the second team. Maybe they start getting a few more call-ups for these summer matches for the second team. But congrats to all the teams on a well-fought season and tournament out there at MLS Next. Because look, man, down to 32 in all of those age groups, like, you have to win to get there. So congrats to all those guys involved.
Yeah, congrats, and good job representing the badge for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's close it out here with the nonsense. Looking back on our week 15 picks to close out the first half of the season, I don't know which was more of a wet fart, Austin FC or the picks. I was up in the Northeast, right, in Pennsylvania. You can't play the pick'em games, but I can go put $1 million down on Austin FC if I wanted to win that game. So tell me the logic there. But the picks, man, that we did get in at the sports books, not great. One of our worst weeks in a while. You lose 6.56 units at the books. Minnesota at home, slight plus money, could not get it done. San Diego on the double chance. They pick up another red card, of course, as soon as we start believing in them. That doesn't come through. Rapids lose to Dallas without Pitar Musa at home in the elevation. The Chicago Fire Inter Miami parlay did come through for us. And then not great with the goal scorers. The to score or assist props actually kept this from being a complete disaster, So headed into the break, we are plus 17.65 units at the books, plus 1.13 units at underdog. And given where we came from, we will take that.
Yeah, absolutely. We'd be way higher, too, if you just picked my best ball team every week to score.
Well, probably right. So speaking of that, even before we get to your team, let's get to our team here. We do not pick up a victory headed into the break. That honor went to Phil at Verde all day with a 66, but a relatively high scoring week and kind of spread evenly, I would say. 62 for We Are Austin, so they pick up a couple points on Soccer Wise, who had a 59. We had a 58. Verde pendant the low mark on the week with a 41. Even a 64 from Moon Tower down there, so showing some life going into the summer. I don't know, man. We sit here, right, about a 2-month break where we're at 4 points back of David there in second and just, less than 60 points back of We Are Austin in first, considering we were like 115 back of Hernan and the boys like 4 weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
We're on the come up, man. Like a long way to go still for everybody, and at least one more transfer window. We'll be talking with all of the delegations on potentially adding a second transfer window here down the stretch, but competitive going into the break.
Yeah, absolutely. We've been climbing here, and there's, like you said, plenty of time left.
Getting into the Patreon leagues, we start with the Sentimiento League, as we always do, and Ahoy, Brian, crushing week 15, dude. 80 points for B, jumping all the way to 4th place. B has spent the majority, if not all, of this season so far in 7th in this league. So huge comeback at the end here for him, and heading into the summer break, feeling good. Top 4 in the Sentimiento. Birdman, Aries, who has closed that gap to just 12 points.
Yep.
Tex Rex and B as the top 4. We move over to the Heartbeat League, where Peach continues his reign of terror, increasing that overall lead. 75 points for Peach. Now up, 66 points on the field in the Heartbeat League. It is ZG in second, followed closely by Josh, Tim, and then Mike Cragnola down there in 5th on a 30. So limping into the break there is our buddy Mike, but still very much in it. And, of course, Peach out front. And you talk about being out in front, not the same type of gap there in the Rooted League between 1 and 2, but it is still E at the top with the 49. Turbo Trevor closing the gap in a big way. 82 for Trev, now 21 points back of E. But it is Snorb Jones getting the back-to-back victories going into the summer. 85 for Jones. He's in 3rd. Logan in 4th. So you take a look at the race for the Premier League, E. If the season ended today, the Premier League would be E, Trev, Peach, Schnorb, Birdman, Aries, ZG, and then we've got a tie in 8th once again. Josh and Logan tied on 775. Statman Tim Thompson just a point back, 11th and 12th. There's a tie down there. Mistake on the graphic once again. Reset my streak to 0 weeks without a mistake. That is a tie for 11th between Tex Rex and Mike Cragnola. So look, man, 19 weeks to go. Very excited for the second half of the season. Think everybody, I know, Dave Smith's not having a great time down there at the bottom, Johnny, but a learning process, and you can't go lower than D2 next year.
That's right. You work your way up.
And still a long way to go.
Yeah, seriously, a long way to go. This stuff can change really, really fast, as we have shown.
Yes. Yep. I mean, it was 5-6 weeks ago. We were like, nobody's catching TJ, and look at him now.
Yep. Turbo's on my butt.
Yeah, shit. Anything else for you, man? Fucking almost 2 hours. What are we doing?
I don't know what we're doing with our lives anymore, man. I don't know.
Well, I'm not changing as long as my favorite team in the world is in the NBA Finals. So. All right, man, let's shut it down. We appreciate you all tuning in, sticking with us, especially if you made it past the first 5 minutes of NBA talk. Can't guarantee there's not more of that as the finals progress, but we appreciate you tuning in, sticking with us here on episode 311 of the North End Podcast. We are back next week with some guests previewing the World Cup, and of course, talking about everything that happens in the Austin FC universe between now and then. Enjoy your week, everybody. We will do the same, and we'll see you back here next Sunday for another episode. Till then, he's E, and I'm Zach. Vamos, Austin FC, everybody. Goodbye.